Welcome to this week's rant, which is entitled Welcome to the Workshop. It's a pretty unscripted rant, actually, to be honest, because I'm going to show you my workshop as it currently stands. But before we start, the normal parish notices. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified about things when they're posted to the channel, hit the bell icon. If you consider supporting the channel, please go over to Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/TheMusicTechGuy UK and support the channel and the production of videos. So with the parish notices over, we get on to the subject of this week's video, which is saying hello to the embryonic state of the workshop, should I say. Now, I've been lucky that the people I've moved in with have said that I can use the garage as a workshop, so I can actually start doing some of the synth repairs that I've been meaning to do for a long time, but really haven't had the time and space to do it. Well, obviously, with COVID-19, I'm rather stranded here because I can't go anywhere, so that sort of kind of gives me the time. And then on the flip side of that, of course, they've said, you know, I can use this space as I can use the this space over there, which I use for videoing as well. So they've been very kind to me for that. The only thing I had to do with this space is I've had to clear it out. So over the last couple of weeks before we went into full lockdown mode, I've effectively cleared this space out and taken all the rubbish that was stored in here down the dump. So and I've put in some racking over there that I'm not going to show you, but the racking over there has got all the stuff that was on the floor and was over in this corner is now on this sort of 6 foot high racking that I've put in. But it allows me to actually create this space and put these in so that I can actually do the maintenance that I need to do on the synthesizers. But I thought what I would do was I would actually show you this space, just how it's coming along, and then over the weeks you'll see various bits and bobs sort of develop as I start doing repairs in here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that back a bit. That is a new addition, but I'm not going to show you what the new addition is quite yet. But given the fact that we have this epidemic going on at the moment, I am just going to go and give this a good clean, which I'll do in a minute, with Dettol and kitchen towel, just to give the surfaces a wipe over so that any bacteria on those surfaces will go. And then I thought what I'd do with you is I'd just show you some of the stuff that's already made its way into the workshop from various places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with what's down below. See if I can move the camera. So underneath there, well, you can probably see a saw. But these are all the tools that were sort of lying on the floor in here. So we've basically tidied them up and put them down under here. And there's various tools down there. Some of which are mine and some of which are not mine. But there you go, they're the tools. Moving around to the paint pots. And if I then come back up here. So effectively, these benches are about a metre wide. Well, I say about a metre wide. They're actually 4 centimetres short of a metre wide, which gives me plenty of space to put a synthesizer like so. There you go, one synthesizer. You'll notice the green cut-in things that came from my original flat, and you'll also notice my big belly at the moment. But that gives me ample space for actually working on the video. Now, what I am constructing at the moment is I'm constructing an A-frame or a frame that's going to go up there so I can put the camera. Let's move that up there. So I can put the camera up here so you can see what I'm doing down here. As you can see, a much better sort of scenario for doing the what's in the boxes and actually doing the repairs, so you can see what I'm doing. So that's one thing there. And then moving on from that, heavy duty scourer, not going to need that at the moment. And then we've got over here, which is going to be mounted on the wall about there, but this is my battery pack. So this is for all the battery powered tools that I have. Very useful. Allows me to charge 6 batteries at a go. At the moment I've only got 4 on there, but I do have 6 floating around here somewhere. So that's going to go up on the wall up there like that. And then the next thing that's made it into the workshop, which has been in the box for a long time, is, just get the plug, this, which is my solder station. So this has basically got a soldering iron, but there's no, it's just got an element in it, and a sensor goes into a solder holder. And then I use a solder station, which is this one. Not particularly expensive. It was probably around about sort of the £70 mark, which is more expensive than a basic soldering iron, but less expensive than some of these professional rigs that you see other people on YouTube using. And what was the criteria for buying this? The criteria for buying this is it allows you to set on the front panel here the temperatures of the solders you use. So in certain circumstances, you need to use lead solder. I don't use lead solder very often, if I'm honest, but there are certain circumstances where you might need to use lead solder, or you are trying to smelt a component out from a board that has used lead solder. So you can set that up to melt at the right temperature for lead, and then you can also set it up at the right temperature to melt the modern solders, which are lead free. Okay. Safety note when using when you're working with solder that is potentially lead, well ventilated area. So as you can see, I do have windows, and they do kind of work. Apart from that one, which I can't work out why I can't pull that down at the moment. Anyway, so that has kind of made it into the workshop, as has my patented solder sucker, which has got some solder in it by the looks of it. Okay, that's my solder sucker. I've had that so many years, you wouldn't believe. So that's made it into the workshop with lead-free solder by the side of it. And then if we move around here, this again, I showed this many years ago. In fact, I showed its little brother many years ago, but this is the upgrade. This is a cable tester from a company called Studio Spares, which is a UK company. And I like this. I really like this. This was the second one I bought. The first one I bought was just a single unit, but this one I really like because it allows you to split the bits in two. And then what you can do is you can get a cable, and it does all kinds of cables. It does balanced cables, it does unbalanced cables, it does RJ11, it does RJ45, it does mini jack, it does XLR in there, it does DIN cables, as in MIDI cables, it does Nutric cables. Okay, so you can put that in one side, and then you can put that in the other side like so, and then come closer to the camera so you can see this. Effectively what you can say is, how do you want it to be tested? So I want to do a cable test, so I put the power on to say I want to do a cable test, and then on this side will send a signal down the wire, and it will send a signal down the wire through any one of 8 positions. Okay, it's a fairly simple thing, but it's you're looking effectively at continuity of wires. The fastest way to find out whether a wire is playing up. Now this will run through a cycle of 3 because it's plugged into this, which is a maximum of 3 connections on it if it was a TRS. Now this is not a TRS, this is a TS cable. So if I switch that on, so it should be, yeah, it's going through the cable. So 1 and 2 light up, and then 3 lights up. Okay, hopefully you're seeing that as this is running through the cables. Let's turn that to the camera like that, so you can see both of them. Okay, you see so that effectively telling me that this cable has good continuity. Really useful tool to have floating around the studio, and it just fits back together like that. And I have got a case for this somewhere. And then a couple of probes that came with this. As you can see, these have never been used, but very, very useful for going around a circuit board looking at continuity testing with the prongs on the ends there. And then this is what I call a bits box. And what is a bits box? Well, it has all your bits in it. And again, if you're a studio geek like me, you can see there are bits in there. There's what's that one say? Keyboard springs for the D70. So I've got to repair my D70, put new keyboard springs in there. These are components for an upgrade to the FB01. That's a SATA converter. And then you've got these are screws for my case. Coin cell conversion units for some of the units. So I'm going to be putting that in the FB01. To convert the coin cells. These are faders, and I think they're faders for a... I think they were faders for the D70 actually, because the D70 when I bought it didn't have faders on it. And I ended up buying 8 of them. So that's a bits box. I have to get it closed properly like that before they all fall out. So there are 4 of those in there. I believe there's 4 of those completely full. And then we move over to here. So I need to move the camera. Move the camera a little bit. So there is the Mackie box, which won't be there for very much longer. It's just there at the moment because it has 2 pedals in it. There's a cork pedal and there's a is it a DP10 or is it a DP6? That in fact that is a DP10. Roland DP10. And that's for synthesizers that I have here. And then there's some old hard drives that need to be wiped. And then there's the hard drive dock so that I can wipe them. And then finally here we have my bag of tools that I tend to use. So basically it's a bag with a big side hole and pockets, and into the pockets you can put your screwdrivers and stuff like that. So that kind of is the workshop as it currently stands. Now what I intend to do is I've got to put more sockets, power sockets over here, because the funny thing about this space is that there is power in here obviously because all this stuff's being powered. But the way that the person who built this space, and it wasn't the people I'm living with, did it was he basically put a plug as far down there as you can get, which is about 30 feet away, and a plug here, which probably for his purposes suited him quite well, but for my purposes it doesn't suit me quite well because I'm going to be running more than one thing. Admittedly, most of the stuff I'll be running in here will be fairly low wattage, so I don't have to worry too much about that, but I do need some more power over here. So that will be one of the things I will do in the next few weeks with a bit of luck, because I've got cable and I've got sockets. So I don't have to go to B&Q or one of the other outlets because I've got all the parts. Is just put some more sockets on the wall there so that I can operate effectively. So there you go, a very unscripted walk around the new workspace. Hopefully you'll be seeing more videos from the new workspace over the upcoming weeks as I start to get into synth repair and also better visibility with the camera up there. So until next time, bye bye.